Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. I mean, everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous, from presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Raymond Duzik, a senior cybersecurity analyst and decorated veteran who is almost 70 years old, but says retirement is still far from his mind. Mr. Duzik, it is a pleasure to say hello to you today.
Same here. Hello.
And sir, I have to tell you, I confess, up at the top, I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to cybersecurity. I'm fascinated by this whole field because this is something that anybody in a modern profession absolutely needs to know about. So what attracted you to the field of cybersecurity?
Well, I've been in the business for quite a while. I started out obviously in the Navy. I got into submarines, and I did really well on my entrance exams in the Navy. Went right into electronics. Got out of the Navy in 1977. Started working for Olivetti Typewriter, servicing typewriters. I did that for like 7 years, and then when PCs started coming out, I drifted into the electronic PC world. That's where I was till 2009, where I was working for a company that decided I cared too much, literally, which was scary because we were an outsourcer, and I cared enough to prevent systems from failing. And you can't do that with an outsourcer. You have to let it fail so the customer can open a ticket and we can start billing them. Well,
so you were really trying to do prevention and not
absolutely.
Just have to fix it after there is a problem.
Absolutely. I was trying to be reactive and I was trying to be proactive and not reactive.
And which is honestly, for anybody who is supposed to safeguard technology, it has to be the mindset to be proactive so that you can literally prevent there from being an attack or a breach. Mr. Duzik, tell me, what kind of training did you undergo to work in this field? I know you said you started off obviously in the Navy, in the military, but do you take part in continuing education to try to keep up to date on best practices?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a CISSP, which is a certified information systems security professional. It's probably one of the highest certifications you can get. I got that self-study. I read everything I could read. I have to keep up with my continuing education units, CEUs in the medical field, CPEs in the technology field. And you have to keep your certification alive. You have to have 120 CPEs in a 3-year membership. If you don't keep up those CPEs, they pull your membership and you have to retake the test, which is a 6-hour test, multiple choice, and it's not cheap. So
well, it sounds like the bar exam all over again. Mr. Duzik, you're giving me nightmares if I had to think about taking that all over again.
Well, it basically it is. Now everything's online, of course, but when I took it, it was multiple choice, fill in the bubble, and it wasn't easy, but I was prepared and I passed it first pull, and now I just got to keep up with it. I got to keep my membership dues up to date, and I've got to keep my CPEs up to date. So it's always learning, always training. I have threat feeds that I deal with, government threat feeds, global threat feeds, and they keep me up to date on what is going on in the cyber world. So I can either look for it or defend against it.
And Mr. Duzik, that actually does bring me to my next question. Let's be specific. What type of threats does your work protect against?
The main threats that I have to deal with are insider, which are disgruntled employees, employees that are on third shift and are bored, and they will click on something just to see what's going to happen. And then there's the external threats, which are the bad guys trying to get in. That's the main stuff I deal with.
And, you know, I hear about these disgruntled employees, but also those who are just trying to fill their time rather than paying attention to their job. And I imagine they can get themselves in trouble because although the internet is something that we all need to exist in the modern world, it can be alluring and take you down a rabbit hole that can get you in a lot of trouble.
Well, yeah. And the reason I'm at this job now, I was at another organization, and they were not cyber oriented. And when
explain what you mean by that.
They wouldn't, I'm going to put it bluntly, they wouldn't listen to me. I kept telling them they had to do stuff, and you know, I documented everything, and they kept getting compromised.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to listen to you right now. So for viewers who may have less technology background, tell us some pieces of advice that you can pass along for a safer computer experience. We are getting ready to have a master class today.
The biggest thing, Star, is passwords. I have 150 discrete IDs and passwords, and I cannot keep track of them. So I bought a password manager for my phone, and it gives me the ability to keep track of all these IDs and passwords. It also will tell me that it's time to reset your password. You're using a duplicate password on 2 different accounts. And that's the biggest sin right there, is using the same password for multiple accounts. Don't do it. I'm not saying write them down, but don't use the same password, because if they hack one account, they've got all your accounts.
You know, that is the biggest sin from everybody who uses a computer.
Oh, sure.
We're all very lazy, Mr. Duzik.
Oh, yeah. It is easy to do. I mean, I'm in a golf league, and I'm always preaching cyber safety. And these guys, well, I write all my passwords down, and I cringe, and I give them a coupon literally to get a password manager for their phone. It's so easy, and it's intuitive. So that's the biggest thing. And also, as on the password side, don't make them easy. I mean, don't make the password. I mean, even if you do put a capital P and you put an @ for the A, make them tough. Make them so it's not easy to crack. You've got to make them a phrase or something like that only you have any idea what it means, and fill it full of different characters. But
that makes good sense. That makes actually good sense. I hope everybody is listening to that. So I want to go back just a little bit, sir. Take me back to when you were in the military. I'd love to talk a little bit about how that experience shaped your growth.
Well, me in high school didn't fare very well. The best thing that could have happened to me is I got drafted, and I went down. My draft number was 2, and it was in 1971 when Vietnam was still on. So I was going. My draft number was 2, and I was going to be drafted. I went down the next day, joined the Navy for 6 years, guaranteed electronics training. And then that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because if I would have tried to get a deferment and gone to college and if I'd have screwed off as much in college as I did in high school, I wouldn't be here right now because my father would have killed me, literally killed me. So best thing that ever happened to me, I volunteered for submarines, tried to get into CIA, but I didn't have the right training on language skills because I'm 100% Polish. I'm Eastern European. And during the Cold War, they were looking for Eastern European people to get into the CIA. But when they found out that I did not speak it, they said flat out, no, you get caught so fast because you don't have the ingrown or
Native,
the patience, not the
native.
patience, but the
Yes,
ingrown, how you eat, how you talk,
yes.
how
Mhm.
you, the slangs, the whole bit. So
The
I
lived
went in, I went,
experience is what people would say. You don't have the actual lived experience.
right. Yes, exactly. Yep.
So I'm questioning now, do you face any additional challenges as a technology professional with your level of longevity since you've been doing it so long?
Well, back in 2009, when me and that company parted ways, I was out of work for a year and a half because of my age. Literally, there was age bias all over the place. And now it's not age bias anymore. It's they want your experience. They want the fact that even though I'm totally silver up top, what's under that is what they want. And that's how I got the latest job now. They came looking for me.
Yeah, you know what? Experience will out all the time. And I think companies and corporations are finally recognizing that what makes for a good workforce is a blend of youth and ingenuity, but mixed with experience and maturity. Um,
Absolutely.
and putting that
Absolutely.
team together is a winning team. Speaking of longevity, what are your plans for the future? When I first introduced you, I told everybody that you were not looking at retiring, so I know you have some plans.
Um, no. My boss now, he every time I start talking about retirement, he starts hyperventilating. And because since I've been on board, I'll be on board 4 years now with this job. Everything has been good. I'm knocking on wood.
Yes, sir.
And because when I first got hired, they were in trouble. They were in trouble. They didn't have any kind of vulnerability management. They didn't have any kind of training as far as what to look for on emails and stuff like that. And with his help, and because he's a very good manager, with his help, we got all the processes down to where now people know that if they see an email that they don't think is quite right, it's probably not, and to send it to me.
That's
If
so
it's
smart.
if it's a good email, I will send them a nice message back saying, no, there's nothing wrong with this. There's no artifacts that say it's compromised. I says, you can use it. But I'll also send them a message saying, good job, great catch. This was a compromised message. If you would have clicked on any portion of this message, this would have happened, this would have happened, this would have happened. And 9 times out of 10, I'll get a message back. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I didn't click on it. But that's the big one is if you think it's suspicious, we have an application called Give It to the Fish. Well, if you think it's suspicious, send it with the fishes. And they're doing it. They're doing it. It's been very, very quiet, which is nice.
Well, you know, the rule in this world right now is if you see something, say something.
Oh,
So
yes.
in
Yep.
cybersecurity, it seems to be the exact same.
Oh,
Before we
definitely.
end,
Definitely.
I would love to ask you, what is the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with today?
My main thing is that I love my job and I am dedicated, and I want wherever I work to be safe and for people not to be scared to yell about something. If they think there's a problem, tell us. My biggest pet peeve is called an oh, by the way. And oh, by the way is, oh, we've been having this problem for 6 months. Oh, by the way, you've been having a problem for 6 months and you haven't told anybody? Well, we didn't think it was that big of a deal. Well, it's a big deal now. They just compromised your workstation. They just compromised your laptop. So it was a big deal. That's the main thing. I think that I want to make sure that my work environment and my team's work environment, which is the whole corporation, whole entity, is safe.
Again, we go back to, if you see something, say something.
Absolutely.
Mr. Duzik, thank you so very much for this conversation and this, as I said, masterclass in cybersecurity. Have a wonderful day.
Oh, that's it? You have a wonderful day too.